This is my third time trying to film this. I'm going to try to be coherent, but there's also a lot of information. Now, last week I made a video. It was on Monday. I feel like I've aged 10 years in a week. A lot has happened, but let me summarize the parts I think that you'll care about. TikTok went away and came back. That we all know. And before that, and I'm not the only person to say this, but I will put the text message on the screen that I sent to Jessica on Saturday. Deep down in my heart, I thought, this is going to come back, and it's going to come back in a different way. And that's exactly what happened. So if you've logged onto TikTok since it has been back online, you'll notice that it kind of feels like you're walking into your house that might have gotten broken into. It feels like someone was here. It seems like things are where they should be, but like something's off. I don't notice anything missing yet, but also I'm just walking in. That's kind of what TikTok feels like right now, is that something is going on because people are noticing certain things. Number one, they're noticing that Shu, who's the guy, the CEO of TikTok, no longer lists CEO of TikTok on his bio. They noticed that on Saturday morning on Facebook, one of the things that you were able to do was connect to your TikTok account. Now, why would Facebook launch a feature to connect to your TikTok account unless something was going on? Now, Facebook and Instagram have verified accounts on TikTok, and the thing that I noticed, Instagram on Saturday morning, or maybe it was Friday night, and I just noticed it Saturday morning, changed the aspect ratio of the grid from being square images to being these kind of rectangles. I was like, where have I seen those rectangles before? Oh, they're the same aspect ratio as TikTok thumbnails. So we knew something was up, right? Through a series of things before the changeover happened. And after, there's some other things that are noticeable on TikTok. Search Donald Trump and see if you can, on that search page, on that results page, see if you see anything negative about him at all. I didn't see anything negative about him, and I would expect to based on my algorithm, let's just say that. If you search The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, which is a Taylor Swift song, you'll notice that the search bar is either auto-correcting to the smallest woman who ever lived, or it's suggesting the smallest women who ever lived, as if that's a thing. Some masculine energy going on there. When the platform first launched, people couldn't go live, and you weren't seeing live streams as you were scrolling your feed. And what collectively it seems like a lot of people on TikTok have decided is that something's up. We have 90 days. We know we are being heavily censored, and certain videos are being mysteriously deleted. Certain accounts are suddenly being banned. Let's organize and go somewhere else. Or at least treat this platform as if we're being watched. So you might be asking yourself, what am I supposed to do? And I would suggest a couple of things if you do have a business and you do promote yourself on social media. What I am planning on doing in the next week or so. Number one, if you want to be ahead of the curve, I'd get on Blue Sky, and I would in particular start posting video content there. It is built on AT protocol, which allows users to have more control over their data and feeds. Okay, and basically your information on these platforms is owned by you as the creator, and because it is kind of open, other people are building in this AT protocol. So if you put content on Blue Sky, it could potentially appear other places or on other networks that use AT protocol, but it sounds like you'll probably have control over that because it is considered a decentralized social network. A centralized social network is owned by a company, like YouTube is owned by Google, or Alphabet, I should say. Meta owns Facebook and Instagram, so these are centralized platforms. We're talking decentralized platforms. And I think that if your business cares about its marketing future, if it cares about censorship, if it cares about being part of something that's innovative, but also where your customers are, I'd get on a decentralized platform. Currently, the best bet seems to be Blue Sky, in my opinion. That said, there are other places you can be as well. This week I joined RedNote, and RedNote is an app owned by the Chinese Communist Party. You can feel however you want about me joining RedNote, and I'm not telling you to join RedNote. I think that before you join apps that are run by foreign governments who are known for censorship, that you should, think about that. But I personally don't mind the Chinese government having my data. I'm not saying you should feel that way. But yeah, I have gotten over 1,000 followers. I've been there for, I think, 6 days. One of my videos has almost 100,000 views on it. Seems like an interesting place to be, in particular if you provide services, virtual services, because it seems like people on this app or people in China, right? They're in a completely different economy than we are here in the US. And since I posted a video about some services that I do, I've gotten messages from people who are like, hey, I work at a Chinese marketing company. We'd like to collaborate on something. And you know what? Like, I'm not opposed to that. To me, I am using that app to individually connect with people who are in a different culture. I'm using it as a way to practice my Mandarin. I've been trying to learn Mandarin for about 6 months and trying to practice with Ben a little bit, but it's nice. Ben's my partner who speaks Mandarin, but it's nice to also be practicing with other people and to be interacting with content in that language. So I personally find it a good place to be. You don't have to. And number 3, I think that there isn't gonna be one app ever again. When I started marketing, there was 3 social media sites. They called them the big 3. There was Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And that was it when I started this 17 years ago. And as the years go on, there are more platforms and people are becoming more distributed. So while I wish I could just be like, hey, everyone's moving to this one app, that would certainly make my life running a marketing company easier. It just isn't the case, unfortunately. So I would recommend you being ready to diversify your marketing efforts. And honestly, like, I'm going to be experimenting on different platforms. I'm also looking at Nostr, N-O-S-T-R. I'm looking at Mastodon a little more closely. I did make an account on there and then just didn't post. And I'm looking at PixelFed. The Instagram one that's decentralized, the photo sharing one, I should say. So I'll know more in the next few weeks, probably, as I experiment with these platforms more and understand kind of the more nuancy parts of them. I'm not saying I will completely understand them in a couple of weeks, but I'll at least have a better idea of how to talk about them. In the meantime, if you don't want to wait for me to like come to conclusions, I would, like I said, I would get on Blue Sky, or I would at least consider diversifying your marketing away from just Meta or away from just one company being the place that you communicate to your customers with. I think some people are taking this opportunity to explore things like Substack or to develop like their own kind of online communities, whether it's on Discord or, you know, somewhere else that they have control over. And I think you can do that. If you do have a community that you would like to keep together, you don't have to use these groups that these centralized platforms provide. You can do it yourself. And I think some people won't move, but some people will. And it's a decision that you have to make as somebody who creates content, as someone who runs a business. So to me, in my mind, TikTok's gone in 90 days. And so I have a limited amount of time to communicate with the people I have there, to the extent I'm able to communicate with them there, where I am on other platforms, and what my messages are. At this point, don't feel bad about making content and reposting it to multiple platforms, because you will not be able to create unique content for 20 platforms. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. It's becoming increasingly impossible to do that, in particular if you run a business that isn't a marketing company. These video formats seem to be universally helpful if they're under, 60 seconds. It seems like links are universally usable across platforms for the most part. And it seems like images are useful across platforms for the most part. So creating content in those 3 formats and being ready to post it multiple places until you find that what works best for you, I think is the way to go. I wish I had more definitive news for you. I wish our government and business was more forthcoming in information, because honestly, I feel like this whole thing was a publicity stunt and proved that the government and billionaires and tech could control the flow of information. And what we need to do is understand the message they just gave us and be able to talk to each other someplace that's decentralized. Email is also decentralized. So anyway, I will see you in the next video and I'll let you know when I have an update. All right, have a good one.